Neil Flynn's iPhone.
Good sign, theoretically.
He's going to connect with audio, and then he's going to find the video button, and he's going to be horizontal.
Hey, am I in?
You are in audio wise.
Huh?
Your audio is in anyway.
We can hear you. There's a thing to hit for your video.
I'm on my phone because my fucking computer knows I don't know anything. There's a fucking commercial on now. Who knows? Well, I don't like this. I hate technology. I got left behind and I stayed behind. Nothing's fucking easy. I hit the button there. Okay, enter your code. I don't have, and then you say you don't need a code. But the computer thinks I do. And everything has a fucking password. I can't stand that. You go to buy a pair of sneakers, password. God damn it. Anyway, so you don't know why you can't see me.
No. In theory, we should be able to see you, and yet we don't.
Well, I've learned that if something can go wrong, it will when it comes to me.
Wait, maybe I can do this. Hold on.
Murray's Law.
Let's start your video. Okay.
There you go.
Hallelujah.
Howdy, kids.
Hello, hello.
All right. So we're recording this, eh?
We are, and that's going to be a great intro.
Yes. The more swearing, the better, I assume.
That's always been my feeling, yes.
Okay. I just get so frustrated.
I understand completely.
Where are you
No,
today?
you don't. You're probably good at this stuff.
No, my daughter's better, though, so therefore I feel inferior.
Oh, well, you are.
Yeah, see, there you go.
And the problem is it's not going to stop. It's just going faster and faster, more and more forward. And if you're not on the train, because now people ask you for like I don't know anything. They say, okay, well, just scan it and download it and send it to me via Skype or something. I'm like, can't do any of that stuff. I don't know.
If you could have thrown facts into that sentence, you really could have.
Yes, I know.
Just kick back and listen to your 8 tracks. That's fine.
Onion paper and fax that over to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's.
Are you in Los Angeles?
Yes, are you?
No, I'm in Atlanta. I said from my picture, it looks like I'm in a bunker in Kiev.
Yeah.
Kiev. Yeah.
A nice one.
No, I'm in a hotel in Atlanta.
Why? Is it involve golf?
No, I've been working on a show called Heels for the Stars Network, and my bride and I are playing husband and wife on it, and we've been here a couple weeks now.
Oh, that's great. Has it started airing?
The first season aired. Yeah, it's on the Stars Network. It's a wrestling drama.
Tell Mike I said hi.
Mike O'Malley, yeah, the businessman in the world. He's a nice guy.
I seems like I should know Mike O'Malley.
You should. He gives out jobs.
Oh, does he?
Sold a
hard to come by for me these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you have about 30 good years there.
Yeah, I had my run. I might be asking for too much. My agent seems to either he's making an excuse or he says that in today's environment, everyone wants their cast to be as diverse as possible. I believe that. But therefore, at long last, the pickings are slim for straight white men. That's what he theorizes. What think you on this?
Well, I thought I would be directing sitcoms at this point in my career, and can't get any of that work. That they're looking for full diversity there.
Okay.
Yeah, older.
Well, the thing is, it really is kind of at long last. I mean,
Yeah, it's so great. We missed out on the big TV money of the 80s, the sexual revolution of the 60s and 70s. And now discrimination against old white guys. Wait a minute. This is, damn it.
Yeah. This isn't the America I signed up for in 1960. But I know something will come along. Otherwise, I'm still fine.
Yeah.
I'm old enough been around long enough to have friends give me jobs.
Exactly. Without having to audition some days. That's nice.
Some days, that's another thing that's new and might not go away. The submit your own audition tape.
True.
Instead of arriving someplace. And I do not like that.
I was going to say, I bet you're really good at that.
Why?
The technological bit we just went through.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
That's not necessarily your wheelhouse, I'm guessing.
Neil was great, except you were upside down. Neil, it was a great audition, except you were upside down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we couldn't hear a word. That wouldn't surprise me at all. And but I think that's probably sticking around. But it's to me, I hate it. What for one thing, just record yourself doing the scene. No, first I get someone else to play the other part in the scene or parts. I need another person. Yep. And not that that's impossible to do, but I do live alone. So I go out on the street. Say, hey, pal. The guy working on the sewer line.
I'm just spitballing, but I think a new sitcom with Neil, and you found a homeless guy that lived in your yard, and you befriended him because you needed somebody to record an audition for you, and it just blossoms into just a buddy movie. I like it. I like it.
I like it too. And maybe he says the first scene, he's like, okay, I'll come in and we'll shoot this thing. I'm like, no. I didn't say anything about coming in. We'll shoot it here in the yard.
The lighting's off. Hold on. Let me check. I've got a meter. Wait a minute. You're an old DP, aren't you? Yeah. I might have done a few films back in the day.
I remember you. There you go.
Thing writes itself.
It just does. Well, sometimes you should have a couple of improvisers write the movie anyway. I remember when Crash won the Oscar.
Yeah.
Crash, like, wow, we could improvise that in an hour and a half. That would have, and it would be as well. And but boy, it just.
You're probably right. Although I kind of like that movie, though. People reacted badly as if it wasn't a good movie. I thought it was a good movie.
See, I'm with those complainer people, I guess. Yeah.
That's happened a couple of times. There's either at the moment or in a couple of years after the award, people kind of say, wait a minute. Seemed like a good idea at the time, but.
Wait a minute. Everybody's definite? Wait a minute. It's a black and white French film?
Okay. Well, there's probably a good example.
I was in that one.
You were?
I
don't remember that. Did you play a Hollywood producer or something?
It's so good you didn't even recognize it was me.
Yeah, you disappear into the grainy white.
Cop chased a dog for about 3 days on set, and and then I pulled the tiny Frenchman out of the fire, and I thought he was going to be LeBeau's side from Hogan's Heroes, and he's like a 200-pound 6'1" guy. This is work. Yeah.
What year was that?
I don't know, Neil. What year is it now?
2000?
12? 13?
Like that.
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I know. Time goes so fast. You know what happened the other day? I was watching a thing about football. And they mentioned in the draft this year is a young hot player named Derek Stingley Jr.
Right.
And I thought, it's Daryl Stingley is the man who got paralyzed. So how could Derek Stingley Jr. work? Well, because it's not his son, it's his grandson.
Get out!
So you completely sympathize with what I'm feeling. I thought it was a player we knew as a kid, and it only makes sense. When we were kids, this guy played for the Patriots. And so that's been 45, 50 years ago. So of course it's not his son. But it just blew me away to realize, had you heard this kid's name? Derek Stingley?
No.
Yeah, he might have played for LSU, but anyway, he's going to be in the draft and he's a star. But yeah, an entire generation passed without me noticing.
Well, you were
Guys,
busy.
there's guys, professional athletes. There's several of them who, it's not that I saw their father play. I literally saw their grandfather play.
Yeah.
Ouch.
So this probably wasn't what you were going for, Will.
Is this what we were supposed to do?
Everything I could have hoped for. Thank you.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well,
You got
actually,
that.
I'll ask an actual question. Obviously, I know you guys go way back, but when did you guys first meet? Presumably on the Chicago scene.
No, I thought about that, and I think I got it right, Joel. And you tell me. I was out here getting no attention or success whatsoever for about 5 years in the late 80s to early 90s. And I went home. I went back to Chicago in 92. But before that, somehow, some evening, I recall walking down the street talking with you, Joel. And I think that's the first time we had met. You might have been involved in a project called Grand at the time.
That's 89-ish. That rings a bell. Yeah, no, that's what got me to LA. I want to say the first time we met, we didn't really meet. We played softball against each other in Chicago. And I remember thinking, that tall guy could fucking throw the pill. He's gonna. We played.
You played for Second City?
I played for Second City, and you played for somebody else. And
yeah,
that guy's got an arm. If I happen to get on base, I ain't tagging up. But I think we might have done a nod.
Yeah,
that was our first meeting in my mind. One of these. Yeah.
Okay, that's more likely the case.
You're not a show tunes guy, are you? No.
Show tunes guy? Did you say?
We accused your team of various things. Who were you playing for?
Oh, in the early days, I played for various teams that I had nothing to do with. For the first few years, I was on Goodman's team, as in the Goodman Theater. But I had no connection. I just had friends that played for them and introduced me to it. I could play softball, though. That was, as far as when you're saying what you're good at, I would say acting. And after that, honestly, I would say softball, where you can say, I'm good at this.
I still have it on my special skills, I think, at the end of my resume. Yeah.
Do you, after horseback riding and juggling?
Clarinet, saxophone, and softball. Yeah.
Well, that's important. I went to an audition for 8 Men Out? No. The Shoeless Joe, Kevin Costner's Field of Dreams. Okay. To be a baseball player.
Mm-hmm.
And the lady asks, the casting director, says, so do you play baseball? Which is a reasonable question to ask.
Sure.
And I said, yeah, not that I could have gone to the pros, but yeah. And I saw her face fall. Disappointment that she wasn't having a professional baseball player. And so I don't go any further. Don't get a chance. I see the movie. These guys are in the background playing catch. That's what these baseball players are doing. You got a couple of them that have a part, like the pitcher, the surly pitcher or whatever. But these guys are either standing there with their hands on their knees or they're playing catch. And she wanted pros.
One of my best gigs ever was I got in '87. Bunch of Chicago guys went down to be on a show called Long Gone.
Yes, Bill Peterson's thing.
Peterson, your Goodman friend should have gotten you in that one.
Yeah. Oh, I have an audition for that. I'll tell you the story, but go ahead and finish.
We got to play some real ball, and we would
Yes.
play
I
in
was
the
jealous,
morning,
man.
and it was really fun. And my highlight was one day I got a single, double, and a triple off of Nardi Contreras, who went on to be the White Sox pitching coach like 2 years later or something like that. But I was like, yeah, I almost went cycle on him, except
That's
I
right.
knew
Wasn't Eddie Blatchford in that?
Wisnet was played by Ed Blatchford, yeah, from the American Blues Theater.
Okay, so I get an audition to be in this baseball movie, and Bill Peterson's going to star in it. And they're having the auditions at the Remains Theater. If you recall, they're on Clark, I want to say.
Yep.
And so, okay, there's Peterson and who I've since come to know a little bit. I'm not sure if I told him the story or not. Anyway, it's him and some other guy, probably a producer, maybe director, I don't know. But they're holding the auditions. And me and this other guy, a Chicago actor that used to appear in things like we did, we're doing the scene, and the guy does the equivalent of like looking at his phone, but there were no phones then. He just suddenly realized something he had to, and he leaves. He goes out in the middle of the scene. He leaves the theater. 30 seconds pass, and Peterson is curious, I guess, as to how it's going with the other guy. So he gets up and leaves. Me and the other actor are halfway through this scene, like a 3-page scene, whatever it is, and we're there by ourselves. And he says, his name was Rick something. I bet he remembers this. He said, should we keep going? I said, I don't think so. For what? For who? What's the point? And so maybe a minute passes, and Peterson comes back and goes, oh, yeah, sorry, you guys. That was great. Thanks. That was great.
Which part?
That was my big audition. What?
Which part of it did you like best, Billy?
Did you think we got better as we neared the end? So I don't have much luck for baseball movies. No, actually, because I did end up doing a baseball movie called Rookie of the Year.
Oh, yeah.
Which Danny Stern directed. That was when I first moved back to Chicago in like 93. And I went in there ready to go. Could you play in the pros? I could have. I did. I was ready to tell any line necessary.
Yeah, not here, but yeah, in Yugoslavia, I played in the pros.
Yeah, it's a much, much rougher form of baseball. So yeah, I'm ready to go. I was drafted by the Reds. Blew up my elbow. I was ready to go. Turned out I didn't have to lie. I was never asked that. But so I got to do my baseball movie and playing a Cub, shooting on Wrigley Field.
And that actor, like 3 days ago, threw out the first pitch and sang Stretch, the guy from Rookie of the Year, who's now a full-grown man.
Yes, and I can almost tell you his name, Thomas something Mitchell. A very nice guy. I saw him at a Dodgers game a couple of years ago.
Threw it pretty well. One of my greatest admirable moments of Neil Flynn, in fact, was because both of us have thrown out the first pitch and sang at Wrigley. I don't know about singing for you, but I know I have.
No, I didn't sing. I know you
have. But they give you a jersey to throw out the first pitch in, and I did it, and I had Murray 9 on the back because I'm the 9th Murray. And then a couple of days later, Neil did it, and he had 22 and Paul Popovich on the back. And I was like, wow, that is so cool. He went for the obscure utility infielder. And that is so cool.
60s, early 70s. They didn't know what was going on when I told them what jersey to. They're like, the what now? No, Flynn and what number? No, not Flynn. I don't want my name.
How would you spell it?
Popovich. I still have it. Hey, I went to a charity thing in Kansas City, and we were playing on the field that the Royals play on, and they asked us to have a jersey made, and a lot of guys had whatever Murray 9 or whatever, and I went for again when we were kids. Remember Cookie Rojas?
Yeah,
was a second baseman for the Royals in the 60s and 70s, and whatever his number was, I looked it up, number 16 or something. And while I was there, I'm like cutting through the crowd to go to the bathroom or something, and the guy says, "Hey, Cookie Rojas was my favorite player." And I go, "Cool." And he goes, "Are you him?" Cookie Rojas, if he's alive, is in his 80s. And he was about 5'6" and
Yeah.
Hispanic.
Close
What do you
enough.
mean he was your favorite player?
Yeah.
Did you think he was 9 years old and 6'5"? Hell,
Mm.
people, what are you going to do with them? Oh, hey, Joe, by the way, throwing out that first pitch, I did it in a circuitous way. It wasn't like the way you should do it. I have a friend from college that said, hey, do you want to throw out the pitch? I know someone who runs that. And sure. It just kind of fell into my lap like that, but not through, the Cubs reaching out because I'm on TV or something. It was just my friend who has a friend. Well,
Right.
It turns out I was in some different pile than you were. I wasn't the only one throwing out the pitch. There was, honest to God, it was like the teacher of the month,
Right.
and like a crossing guard, a child.
Yeah, and you feel absolutely horrible because they don't get the jersey. They don't get given the jersey with Cookie Rojas on the back. They're just throwing it out in their street clothes, and they think they're the only person doing it. And so there'll be like 3-4 people and their families, and they'll throw their ball, and then all of a sudden, hey, now from Grand, not Grand, but from Madman, Joel Murray, and pick on the board and everything, and they're all like, well, how come my father didn't get any of that? And
Yeah.
he's like a jerk. And
Yeah, it's a little bit awkward.
they're for a pitch.
The afterwards, I throw the pitch to whoever drew the short straw, some kid that looked like a high schooler, but he had a uniform. And I think I gave the ball to my nephew who was there. So I tried to have him remember what this kid's name was in case he ever becomes somebody. But here's the thing. After you throw the ball, fortunately, well, you told me aim high.
Yeah.
It's going to go lower than you think it's going to. So I followed your advice and do a high strike. And this guy comes trotting out, as they do, with the ball. And he's got a pen. And I think he's going to ask me to sign the ball. No, he expects me to ask him to sign the ball. Some guy who has never and probably will never, did never play in a major league game. I'm like, hey, no, Billy, I don't really need your. I might have taken it. I don't remember, but it was an awkward situation.
I've got a few of them, and a couple of them, it took a couple of years to find out who the guy was on the ball. And they're like, oh, well, look at that. He made it in the lineup today.
Yeah. No, I like that. I was able to get I had a signed Kyle Schwarber jersey that I gave to that nephew. And fortunately, Schwarber's still around. The Cubs traded him after, 2 years. So it's kind of a drag when you have a jersey of someone who doesn't play for the team anymore. But he's still in the bigs and he's playing. So it counts.
And Rizzo, which I've assigned jersey, 3 home runs last night, leading the majors in homers. But what do you want to re-sign him for?
Yeah, I know. Well, they said one thing, that they wouldn't have been homers in any other park except for Yankee Stadium, but he was playing in the Yankee Stadium, so they count. 2, he's on my fantasy baseball team. So I was very aware of his output last night. And I need the help. He went undrafted, by the way. The man's stock plunged.
Wow.
But as of the moment, he's the number 1 rated player in the league. So in both leagues.
Well, I went to the game last night in Atlanta. I'm here, and it was pretty good. And Stroman, whose name I finally remembered, he's a little guy. You'd think big dominating pitcher, man, but he's a little guy. He's throwing like 90 miles an hour. There had to be 17 hits that were caught on the warning track. Like what this guy does, he'll give you 280 feet, but not, but it's just so weird. Like, no, that's gone. No, they got it again. Anyway.
That's unusual. Yeah, I know he's got like a charity or something that his size is mentioned in it, like height doesn't measure heart or something like that. I think he goes like 5'8" or 9. But all the best to him.
All right, so here's a stock question I've been asking everybody for the series.
Okay.
Who was the first person that you worked with where you actually had to restrain a fanboy reaction to that you were so impressed by? If ever.
Go ahead, Joe.
Cookie Rojas. The first person I had to suppress a fanboy thing for me.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, my brothers hung out with some pretty cool people. I mean, like 1978 or something like that. I was in New York, and Billy had an audition that he had to go to, my brother, and he said, "Yeah, I'm going to leave you with my friend Dan, and be back in a while." And he left me with Danny Aykroyd for about 5 hours, and he went and met on Tootsie, and he came back, and I thought Dan Aykroyd was the coolest guy in the world, and we went to a record
the
store.
70s?
Late 70s when they were on SNL together.
Yeah. Wow.
But Danny went to a record store and spent like $700, and I thought, oh my God, $700! He just pulled it out of his pocket and on 45s and LPs. Wow. And
What's a record store?
Vinyl. Yeah. They're back. You know that.
Yeah, that's true. In a sense, they never went away.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty huge. Yeah, you grew up in a rare situation like that.
Yeah.
Not grew up, but from your teen years on. That I was going to say Dick Van Dyke, who was a childhood hero, sort of in the Chicago area, especially. Every weeknight, his reruns would play for our entire childhood.
Yeah.
And of course, I was thrilled. I've said several times that was amazing to work with him 2 different times. And the idea that he knew my name was crazy. And his brother working with Dick and Jerry at the same time was great. But I have to say that before that, just doing a small part in Chicago, they actually made a TV movie called To Sir With Love 2.
Yeah.
And directed by, of all people, do you happen to know, Will?
I actually rewatched it right after Sidney died, and I am blanking on it right this second. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
I'm going to tell you, though. Okay. It's Peter Bogdanovich.
Yes.
Hardly makes any, what? Peter needed a I don't know what, a paycheck. And who can put him down for that? But so my scene was I would have been pleased to be working with, you'll know his name, Daniel Trabowski, the guy from Hill Street Blues?
Travanti.
Remember Travanti, the chief. Yeah. Yeah, not Polish, Italian name. Daniel Travanti. I was glad to be working with him. He was playing some part. And I was playing a cop, unsurprisingly, and Travanti was the teacher. And so the point is, Sidney Poitier was in the scene. I was doing a small part in a dinky movie with Sidney Poitier. And it was only a few hours, but I love, I wandered off the set at one point. It was shooting in a school, an abandoned school, I believe, or at least empty, not abandoned. And I wandered into the principal's office sort of thing. Yeah. And there was a plaque on the wall celebrating 3 men. And I believe, I know it was Martin Luther King, let's say Jackie Robinson, and Sidney Poitier are on the plaque. And I'm like, he's about 30 feet down the hallway. This is crazy. But that's how iconic the guy was. And I knew that. And to wrap this up, when we finished, they're like, okay, that's it for Neil. Thanks for coming in. And then hustle and bustle because everyone's moving to change to the next location and so on. And I look around and I would have liked to have shaken Mr. Poitier's hand and just say, nice to meet him. Oh, well. And I turn around and there he is with his hand extended. It was a pleasure working with you. I just want to say you were marvelous. Whatever he had to say. What a class act. That's just great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I thought so. That happened and I get to tell that story. So that really isn't it, don't you think? The probably the best part of the job is little things like that you get to rub shoulders, rub elbows with people you admire, or just that I guess that's it.
I did a Hallmark movie with Angie Dickinson, and she was wonderful. And we had a scene together, and I was all excited about this big scene I had with Angie Dickinson. And we're walking over the set. And she goes, "Hey, Joel, right?" I'm like, "Yeah. That scene we have is pretty much just reiterating that other scene before it. So I was thinking maybe we could work on that a little bit while we're getting ready. I'm like, yeah, sure. She goes, you know, you say this and I say that, and that's all been said. And we could just do this and this part and here. What do you think? And I'm like, no, you're dead on correct, man. Yeah. And so we did the first take, and we had cut the scene in half, and we just did the master, and everybody, the directors and the producers are kind of like, okay, that's really good. That was great. That was better. And sure enough, we cut our own, you know, I cut out half of my screen time, but
Yeah.
it was so cool. And she would go, you know, like, all right, well, you guys can relax. We're going to come around on this. And she goes, you know, I'm just going to stand over here out of the wind. I could go back to my trailer. They mess up my hair. It's just going to make everything take longer. I'm like, are you sure you're even an actress? These are things you don't even hear. And so I'm talking to her and just being nice out of the wind. And she goes, yeah, I'm going to go over and say hi to these gentlemen. They're a little bit older than you, but they're guys of a certain age. Well, they all grew up masturbating to me, and I'm just going to say hello. I was like, he walks away, and I'm like, that is the coolest woman I've ever seen. And sure enough, she made these guys weak. But
well, she was beautiful when we knew of her, and you see her old movies, and of course, she's gorgeous.
Well, I don't know if she was 80 when I worked with her. She was still gorgeous. So,
that's amazing. That's I've heard of that. I don't think I've ever experienced it, but usually it's the star saying, let's change this or change that, or I don't want to do this, or just scratching out their own lines. No. I remember hearing once a guy, I don't know if he told me himself or not, but he was in a movie in Chicago, and they cast the one-line parts wherever they're shooting. It makes perfect sense. And it was something like he's in the elevator and he says, fifth floor, please, or something, while the star gets in the elevator also. And the star said to the director after the first rehearsal, you know, we really need that line. I think, why don't I just get in, press the button, and go? And the director's like, sure, Mr. Star, whatever you think. He might be right. He probably is right that they don't need the line, but somebody just lost their only line in the movie.
right.
And when you're doing one-line parts in movies, it's pretty important to have a one line.
Yeah, you can cut it later. Let me get paid first.
Yeah. Well, I imagine he was paid, but you know, they shot The Fugitive in Chicago, and I had a small part in that. And I went to they would hold a cast and crew screening, not a premiere, you know, no red carpet or anything, just a screening of the movie, which is fine. And people were there who hadn't been informed that they were no longer in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, several people, because the courtroom scene at the beginning was apparently much longer than it ended up. Mm-hmm. And they were probably right to do it. I mean, it's edited so that he's a fugitive pretty quickly. He gets on that train, the train crashes, which was exciting. They get to it. So probably they all realize this, why all this wasting time convicting him? So the guys that played his lawyers and, you know, whatever, witnesses and so on, they had no idea they weren't in the movie. But some of them, you only saw the side of their head for a second, and they had pages of dialogue. Oh. So it's so disappointing. It would be disappointing now, but when you're just beginning a career, what you hope will be a career, boy, you want the credit and the screen time and the.
I had 3 scenes where I fought with Woody Harrelson in Indecent Proposal, and I was cut from the movie, and like nobody told me, and I was going to the premiere, and then all of a sudden somebody said, "Yeah, you're not in it anymore."
Whoops.
They didn't want the funny scenes with you. You know, it was like high school, college, and then later in life, Woody and I get in 3 different fights, and it was
arguments or fist fights.
Well, I was always hitting on Demi Moore when he was not around, kind of thing, and all of a sudden it would just go to immediate fisticuffs. And fought on the lawn in one scene, and fought in a gas station in another scene, and it was funny because you could see he had this short fuse about saying anything about his wife, and nope.
Right.
Got
Oh, that's disappointing.
cut out of the Doors. I was a DJ. Still get checks for the Doors one though. For some reason, I don't know how they can cut you out and then send you residuals for some movies and not others.
Yeah, I don't really know how that works.
I just finally got on Curb Your Enthusiasm, even though we've known Jeff Garland since what, 85 or whatever. Finally got a part on it. I was playing a bus driver, and Larry's going to take a bus, right? And the thing about driving a bus is you're facing the wrong way to be in the scene, right? You're facing away from everything. And I get a call. Hi, Joe. Yeah, it's Larry. That episode you shot is going to air tonight. So I just wanted to say, don't tell your family because you're not going to be in it very much. And the Chinese lady stole the scene. She was really funny. The Chinese lady was really good, and the black guy, they kind of, and I was facing the wrong way. Yeah, exactly. So you had to cut some things here and there, and those two were very funny. You facing the wrong way. So I just wanted to call and say, don't tell anybody to watch for you. Watch the show. Watch for me, but not for you. And I thought it was so great that somebody finally actually balled up and told you,
Yeah.
Yeah. And you lost screen time, but you gained a story.
Yeah. Well, let's see how that's paying off.
What?
It's paying off already. Yeah, in spades.
Yes. That it's almost, speaking of Seinfeld, that I liked the line in the famous restaurant episode where they can't get a table or whatever. Yeah. And is it Jerry that takes food off someone's plate walking by? George. Someone was all upset. George did it. Someone was all upset at the obvious rudeness of it. They got a story. They'll tell that story for the rest of their life. Yeah. I like that idea.
You guys want to talk about the one with the nun and the priest?
Oh, wow. Yeah. How about that?
Well, we did have the same sexual history. It was a friend wrote it, and it was a wonderful script. And she came to me to direct it, and we were friends with Jeff Rosenthal and Gail Shapiro were the producers. And
that's right.
Neil played the lead. He was a wonderful priest in a non-cop role, and
former cop in my head. He had been a cop and decided to join the laity. I misused that word. Well, it wasn't the lead; it was the male lead, but Teresa Mulligan, who wrote it, played the female lead.
Right. But you were really good in it, and you were kind of like a Harrison Ford quality to you. You really had some great stuff. But at the end of the movie, after we get it all done, and we shot at my kids' grade school, and so I'm thinking we're going to get this location cheap. And at the last minute, the lead nun, Sister Stella, says, Joel, we need a new transformer over here, and it's just been a blessing that you boys have decided to shoot here at our school, and I think $12,000 will cover it. And I was like, we thought we were going to do this for like $100, but so we got jabbed by the nun for the 12 grand. And at the end of the movie, we had a Beach Boys song that closed it out in a rough cut. It was a placeholder, like we need something here, but we put in this Beach Boys song, and the one producer absolutely loved it, and like, yeah, that's how it's got to be, but we're never going to pay for it. The other producer said, so nothing ever happened with it. They didn't pay for the last song or replace the last song, and it left us in this position of, well, we could put it in festivals and stuff, and we could do things, but we can't do anything until you decide this. And then the two producers got in a fight, and it was just like dropped. Like they're not going to do anything about it ever again. So I have like 200 copies in my garage on DVD, and So when people ask me to direct stuff, I'm kind of like, I don't know if I want to spend a year of my life working on something that you might decide you don't want to finish.
Yeah. I didn't know that. I hadn't heard that story. It's not like I was wondering whatever became of it. It was a short. We should be clear, a short film, but it was good. I liked it, and it certainly deserved to be in festivals. But which Beach Boys song?
Oh, what it was. I can.
That's all right. Sorry, I put you on the spot.
It goes perfectly with a nun and a priest getting married at the end of the movie.
God only knows.
God only knows.
Oh, there you go.
Thanks for being there for me.
Nice call.
Bring yourself out the window today.
I was thinking be true to your school, but that doesn't even make any sense. The Beach Boys. Now Joel and I would have been in high school when the Beach Boys probably hit their most popularity. I don't know. They made a second wave of popularity, I think.
Yeah, they were popular in the 60s too. But
yeah,
it was
they kind
one
of
of the
showed
first
up again in the mid 70s.
Yeah.
I saw them at McGaw Hall with Chicago. It was pretty good for my first concert ever. That was like the 7th grade.
Yeah, that's great. Chicago had some great music. What was their original name, Joel?
The Chicago Transit Authority.
Very good.
Yep,
that's correct.
What was the original theme song for Monday Night Football? Was
it?
Yeah, that was the original Monday Night theme song.
Is that Feeling Stronger Every Day? What is it?
No.
Or Children Play in the Park.
Make Me Smile, I think it's the beginning to Make Me Smile, and it's got that
it is Make Me Smile.
Energetic beginning.
I didn't know that. Very good.
There. Yep.
Yeah, that's something. It's got to be. There's a handful of shows that have been on forever, like 60 Minutes, Meet the Press, SNL. But Monday Night Football has got to be up there. If that counts as a show, it's been on for probably close to 50 years. Boy, talk about a good idea.
Right.
Someone said, let's try this. It pretty much worked.
But yeah, now you've got it on Sunday, Thursday, Monday. It's almost every night of the week. It'll eventually be football every night of the week. And I like the small market leagues are now like college leagues. The smaller markets are having their games on Tuesday because then they can be on television on Tuesday night because there's nothing else on that night. So you can see Mid-America conference games on, Wednesday or something.
Yeah, that's good thinking. I won't be watching, but I know what they're thinking. There's a bigger chance of me watching than there was before.
Yeah,
because there's a game on. I mean, I don't care if the Phillies beat the Pirates or not, but if they're the Monday night baseball game, I'll watch it. Otherwise, I would not look it up. Now, I have a complaint for anyone who's listening, ESPN primarily. Just because the Yankees are playing the Red Sox doesn't mean that the entire country is on pins and needles over who's going to win in the big rivalry. Every single time those teams played, they're the game of the night or of the week or the Sunday night game. Like we all care. We don't.
Yeah, they make decisions. I'm like, do we really have to see Steph Curry in every basketball game that's televised as well?
Yeah.
The late games are all Warriors. Like, all right, great. Can we see anybody else?
Yeah, I know. Or the Knicks, when they're anywhere near relevant, they'll be on playing Golden State or whatever. Like these days, it's John Morant. Give me a little John Morant.
Yeah.
We're
getting back
into
sports
fans, folks. We're talking sports. There's
old straight white guys. We like sports. We like beer. What else would you like to talk about?
Well, I'll ask our next question. All right, actually, another stock question. What's your favorite project you've worked on over the years that didn't get the love you thought it deserved? It could be series, film, play, pilot that didn't get picked up, whatever.
Well, one that, because I don't think I have a good example of one, so I'll go back 30 years to, I did a play in Chicago written by an Irish playwright, from Ireland, I mean. And he came over to direct it. And it was pretty good. It was a pretty good kitchen sink drama, about this Irish family. And the review in one of the papers, there's two major papers in Chicago, and it mattered what they said about your play. The review complained about what the play wasn't. We weren't talking about the troubles, and no mention of the struggles between Catholic and Protestant, blah 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 blah, and it just ends with like a bad review.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what the play was about. Took place. It was a single set, one family in their house, yelling at each other basically, but a bad review based on what wasn't in the play. And by the way, one other thought: my grandmother came to the play. My dad took his mom, Rose Flynn, saw the thing. She's not from Ireland, but close. And he asked her what she thought about the play afterwards, and she said, "I think that should be kept within the family." The arguing, internecine struggles.
They shouldn't be airing all their dirty laundry out in public like
exactly. That. It was. It's embarrassing to have your personal.
Play on it.
So you go outside and pretend that everything's fine. That you didn't just fight with your husband and kids and so on. But yeah, that's the end of that. Do you have one, Joel? That's something that you were disappointed by?
Oh, my film career? No. I was a little disappointed with, and it was like the best gig I ever had. It was 4 blocks from my house for 5 years. But Dharma and Greg, it came out of the box and it got like best new series. It won a Golden Globe for that. And then they kind of stopped promoting it. And they didn't give it all the ABC push they could have, I thought. And then they got rid of Dottie Dartland, who created the show and was Dharma, which I'm like, who was thinking here? She was the one that had all the romance and all the hairstyles and all the fashion, everything that kind of made it a hit with most people. And then it was being written by Bill Prady and Chuck Lorre, who were, two kind of nebbishy older Jewish guys who cynical, not romantic in any way. And it kind of, next thing you know, you got Kevin Sorbo on and she's in a wheelchair. And it's like, who's writing this now? I really, I
How long did
wish
it last?
it went 5 years, but the last 2 were kind of what? I just wish that Dottie Dartland had been around for the last 2, and I think if so, it would have gone for 7, and then you would have made that circus money that Neil Flynn lives off of, that really good dough, that 80s money.
Oh, that second contract. Yeah. I just a story. It's not. I could never say I was disappointed that the middle stayed on for 9 seasons, as Joel well knows, and tortures himself with. But this actually happened. They were NBC, I think, ABC. I guess it was on. I'm confusing things. It doesn't matter. Scrubs jumped from NBC to ABC and back, or who knew? Yeah, I think the middle was on ABC the whole time. Here's the point: watching ABC promos for their shows. I forget. Let's say we were on Monday. I don't remember, but they say lucky Thursday, whenever Modern Family was on, because a commercial would come on for Modern Family, and they'd say, the new Modern Family, and right, it was a very successful and very good show, so they deserved to promote it. But they'd say Thursday, tune in for Modern Family, and then followed by a brand new Carla's Couch or whatever the hell show was on. And they would list the shows, and literally it ended with the line, "It all starts at 9." We came on at 8 the same night. Watch the middle before it all starts. So Somebody, I don't. That's not a complaint, but I used to laugh at that. Who approved this? You have 2 shows on before this.
It all starts at 9. Well,
aren't we on at 8? Yeah,
I perpetually complained about the ABC's promotion of that show, as you know.
If I knew, I'd forgotten. You thought they poorly advertised it?
Well, it just
or rarely advertised it.
Yeah, and it never seemed to get any love beyond critics. I mean, for years I would wait for the Emmy nominations to come out. It felt like so I could see Eden not get nominated. I was sure she was going to get nominated at least once, and never. It was insane.
Yeah, well, that there was one time she might have even won. I think she tied and won like a Critics' Choice.
It was Critics' Choice, yeah, and I was thrilled for her.
Yeah, me too. And I once, toward the end, I had a nomination by the critics, and I very much felt, I appreciated it, but I also felt that it was the critics saying their nominees weren't the obvious nominees; they were the opposite. I felt like the critics were saying, "We're nominating people who never got nominated, but maybe should have been considered."
Yeah,
like Eden, certainly, but because I wasn't the only one that was sort of a fringe guy. They were kind of saying, "Here's just a tip of the hat." So, but I've long stopped worrying about that. Sure, it'd be nice to win a trophy, but you can't. I suppose you can. There are probably some people who are bound and determined to win an Oscar or an Emmy or something, and then damn it, they did it. But I think you're making a mistake if you give that a lot of importance. You're just setting yourself up for bitterness.
Yeah.
Don't you think? And man, you had a long career in something that's very hard to have a long career in. How do you feel? Should have been given a trophy, a statuette. That's what I wanted.
Yeah. Well, I want to keep it about the hour mark, so I guess I will close by asking you guys each to tell your favorite Del Close story.
Del Close story. Wow.
I have a quick one. I didn't know, I wasn't associated with the improv at all back in the 80s, and I did a play with Del, and it was a high point in his career. He played Polonius in Hamlet.
Fantastic.
He was. It was a high point for him, and I think later when we crossed paths again in the improv world, he always kind of gave me sort of a benefit of the doubt, because he could be surly and unpleasant, but he never was with me. And I always thought it was because I reminded him of his glory day up on the stage, because I was in the same play. But there was a moment of chaos in the play when the lights are sort of flashing and the actors are scurrying, and something went wrong. In a situation like that, if one person's movement is off by a little, it's like a choreographed dance. Everyone's going to be in trouble. It's like the marching band. If the tuba player falls, look out. And that's sort of what it was. And I sort of crashed into Del, who wasn't as big as I was. And he, in front of the audience, it's a relatively small theater, like maybe 100 and 200 people, maybe. So we bump into each other, and he goes, "Ah!" You would think that on the stage, oh, sorry, if you say anything at all, he goes, "My God, I ran into a monolith." He had no, he didn't care. He's having the time of his life, but one time a guy walked to the front of some people, what are you going to do with people?
Great ceilings you've got. Anyway.
Say, oh, I know. Well, I've been trying like hell to show it to you. And since we're getting to the end, it's only in one room. I might have a second room of this. Anyway, I'll make this quick. A man decided, because what are you going to do with people? He has to go to the bathroom in the middle of the play. Fine. But what you don't do is walk down to the lip of the stage, turn and walk across the entire stage, just below it to the front exit. Go out the back. The back exit is what you do. You don't approach the stage like you're the orchestra conductor and then cover the entire length of the stage with you. Del was on stage when that was happening, and he's giving a speech of Polonius's, And he sees the guy coming, and he just stops and watches the guy. You know, for the 30 seconds it took or whatever, he just watched him in silence. And when the guy went out, he started up again. I thought, good for you, man. He had guts. He wasn't intimidated by anything. You're up, Joel.
Oh, I've got quite a few. I did a thing in Austin one time for the Big Stinkin' Improv sketch where I introduced all the groups and I told Adele's close story before every group and between every act. But one of my favorites was we were going to Saturday Night Live, and I was with my brother Brian and his girlfriend Sarah Holcomb, who was the 16-year-old daughter of the dean in Animal House, and she was the girl in Caddyshack. You know, thanks for nothing. And we're going
That's
to pick
the same
up,
girl.
Same girl. We're going to pick up Brian's paycheck, supposedly. Who knows what we're up to? And so we're in this kind of hallway, and there's a buzz of people going on, and you could tell there's this weird energy. And this is when Gene Domanian was the producer, brief while. And so all of a sudden, Del Close comes by. I've never met him before, and bearded. He's got his fly safety pin shut. I didn't know if it was a punk rock thing or if it was function, probably function. And Murray boys, you have any papers, a pipe, anything you can smoke? Oh, well, I'm in a search. And he goes by, but we met him for a minute, and we apologize for not having anything. And my brother Brian says, well, why don't you wait in here? Wait in this office. I'll be back. I got to get in my check, and I'll be right back. So we go in this office, and there was this really strange, awkward moment where Brian's ex-girlfriend started talking about her breasts and the fact that we had never seen them. And we didn't know where this was going at all. And buttoning her shirt, and Del walks in, and that will, get any woman to button her shirt back up. And Del was like, yes, success. And apparently Gene Domanian has just been fired at this point. And Del's feeling a big party boil, sits down, and we're in her office at her desk, and he's filling this big bowl of pot. And
Joe, where is this? Second City?
This is 30 Rock. This is at SNL offices.
Okay.
And so Del's sitting at Gene Domanian's office, and she walks in, and she's just been fired, and she's crying, and she goes, Del, it's not a good time. And Del's for you. And that's all I said. This thing for you with this huge cloud of smoke, and we couldn't help but laugh.
You?
For you?
For you.
She had just been axed. Like I said, I didn't tell it that well. I had to explain it better, but we could not resist laughing. It was so painfully.
Oh man, so he was a character.
To the gods. Oh, there's my wife's at the door. You know what that means.
That's perfect timing, even.
Yeah, he had her waiting out in the hallway all this time. Right?
We have to go get COVID tests. We're working on Heels together. We play husband and wife. And she's got her room, and I've got my room. See how that works?
Nice.
Yeah, pretty nice.
Are you in a hotel or in a dressing room?
Hotel. Yeah.
Okay. Is any of the hotel painted or carpeted?
The ceilings are for shit, I'll tell you. Just
I'm sure it's lovely.
Yeah, that ceiling is, compared to yours. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's I was just in a hotel that's very prison-like. It was like that's the thing they're going for.
That's the style here. It's prison chic. I must say.
Yeah. Congratulations on the job.
Yeah.
And tell Eliza I said hi.
I will do that.
Haven't seen her in years.
Well,
I enjoyed this.
Excellent. Glad you guys are willing to do this. I figured you guys had enough camaraderie over the years. It'd be a fun pairing. So I'm glad we're able to make it work.
Thanks a lot. I appreciated it.
Well, tell us who we can see other than us, because we'd be interested in seeing other people.
Well, let's see. The first ones were Xander Berkeley and who did I team Xander with? Kurt Fuller.
Oh, I know.
And the second episode was Jim Beaver and Stephen Tobolowsky. And then third episode was Michael Hitchcock and Jim Pittock, both best in show.
Nice. Is this thing called character actors or something?
Originally, it was called Just a Couple of Journeymen. Now I've called it Just a Couple of Characters because that way I could get actresses in there. They don't have to complain about, well, not journeyman, I mean, journeywoman.
Right.
Yeah. But
that's what you got. Yeah. I once told Xander Berkeley in person, you have the kind of career I want to have. You're just everywhere, but under the radar,
Right.
You're in that too?
Yeah, he's all the time.
His episode is definitely worth a watch because he talks about how he moved to Maine with his family and his agents dropped him because of it.
When?
Just last year, I guess right before the pandemic, maybe. But basically because he wasn't willing to do series work as far as like being a series regular. He just was willing to do movies or whatever else, and they dumped him.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Why bother with the formality? That doesn't make any sense. You made me think of something that oh shoot, I hate that. Never mind. I won't take the mic.
We'll do a
where can I watch this? What's
it's on YouTube. It's on YouTube, and I'll send you a link to the playlist. You can watch all of them from there.
Well, good.
Yeah, I'm also supposed to do one with Richard Kind and Dylan Baker together.
Nice.
Yes.
We know old Rich.
Fantastic.
Richard is the best. In fact, Richard set up that interview. I sent him a message saying I was thinking about maybe pairing you with Dylan, but I haven't talked to him yet. And then like 5 minutes later, I get a text back. I've talked to Dylan. We're in.
I talked to him. He's encouraged that we'll have fun.
He knows I might be a little bit better.
Slightly. I'll be the funny one. I'll do the jokes.
All right. I'm going to drive across Atlanta to go get a COVID test.
All right.
Okay.
To both of you.
Have
Thanks
fun.
again for doing this. I really
enjoy yourself.
Good
Bye,
to
guys.
see you.
You
when
too.
we get back to town, let's get together.
Okay. I'm all for it.
All right. I'm all for it.
See you guys. Appreciate it. Thanks again.
All
Peace.
Right, bye.
Later.